Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into something that is just, honestly, it's completely exhausting for so many of us on a daily basis. Yep, we are talking about overthinking. We're going to unpack exactly why our brains get totally stuck in these endless loops, and more importantly, we'll map out how you can finally break the cycle.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever walked away from a quick chat with a colleague or maybe a friend and then proceeded to replay that exact same conversation in your head dozens of times? You start wondering, wait, did I say the wrong thing? You dissect every single pause, every little word. You're imagining every possible outcome and literally every alternative response you could have given.
And then reality hits you, right? Your mind simply refuses to stop. Hours can pass. You could just be lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, firmly hooked into this totally relatable, exhausting pain of a racing mind. It feels like this huge, inherent flaw in how you operate. But looking at the source material, it actually reveals something completely different.
Moving into Section 1, a sign of intelligence, reframing the overthinking brain.
So, here's the surprising twist. Overthinking isn't actually a sign of weakness. Actually, scratch that. It's not just not a weakness. According to psychologists, it's very often a sign that your high-functioning brain is just working overtime. Intelligent people naturally notice way more details than everyone else. They see hidden patterns, they identify endless possibilities, and they spot these invisible risks that most people completely miss. Basically, your brain is this high-powered machine doing exactly what it was built to do: analyze. But, while that's an absolutely incredible cognitive strength, it does create a very specific, hidden problem for us.
Which brings us to Section 2, understanding analysis paralysis when more thinking leads to less action. Imagine for a second you're standing at a crossroads. For a quote-unquote normal decision, choosing between just two paths, that's relatively easy. But because your brain spots literally every detail and every single risk, you aren't just looking at two paths. Oh no. You are staring down 100 different paths. And the paralyzing weight of an overthinker's mind, it comes from this exact scenario. Because when you see 100 paths, every single decision transforms into this wildly complex puzzle. The overactive mind just scales everything up. Every potential mistake suddenly feels massively magnified, way larger than it really is. And every little what-if scenario you dream up, well, it just spawns another what-if. You end up building this endless, exhausting web of totally hypothetical situations.
And psychological research points out that this state is closely connected to anxiety. Plus, it's heavily driven by perfectionism. People who are constantly seeking the absolutely perfect decision, that one flawless path out of those 100 options. They end up delaying taking any action at all. They just get totally stuck at the crossroads.
So this is what we call analysis paralysis. And it's not just some corporate buzzword. It is a very real psychological trap where you become trapped in endless thinking instead of actually moving forward. And here is honestly the most frustrating part of the whole shebang. Your brain tricks itself into feeling productive, when in reality it is simply spinning its wheels, just repeating the exact same thoughts on an endless loop.
Think back to your last sleepless night. You know the one where your thoughts were just racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Did all that thinking actually solve anything? Probably not, right?
It didn't solve anything, because what you were experiencing was the illusion of control. Overthinking makes us feel that if we just think a little bit longer, if we just analyze the situation from just one more angle, we're finally going to discover the perfect, guaranteed answer that magically eliminates all risk.
But come on, life rarely works that way, does it? It offers absolutely no guarantees. Successful people aren't the ones who magically always make perfect choices. Perfection is a total myth. Instead, success comes from this really simple three-step reality. They make a decision, they learn from the outcome, and they keep moving forward. They choose a path, even if it's kind of messy and not perfect.
All right, moving on to Section 3, breaking the cycle. Tiny actions overcome endless thoughts.
So, psychologists recommend a very deliberate, actionable framework to basically strip away all that complexity of your endless thoughts. It's called the 5-minute rule. When you notice yourself stuck at that crossroads we talked about, give yourself exactly 5 minutes to think about the problem. Seriously, set a timer on your phone if you have to. But when those 5 minutes are up, step 2 is non-negotiable. Take one small action.
Now, it doesn't have to be some massive leap. It just needs to be a tiny, concrete action. Send that message you've been drafting in your head all morning. Open the document and just start the project. Pick up the phone and make the call. These tiny actions act as like microscopic circuit breakers for your brain. They instantly shatter that overthinking cycle by forcing you out of the hypothetical world and right back into reality. Alongside that action, here is a super powerful perspective-shifting question you can use as a daily mantra. Will this matter 1 year from now? Think about it. Most of the tiny details keeping us up at night, the stuff we are literally losing sleep over today, they won't even be remembered a few months from now, let alone a whole year.
You know, it is so important to have empathy for yourself in this whole process. Your brain is fundamentally designed by evolution to protect you. It overanalyzes because it just wants to keep you completely safe from any perceived risks or, social missteps.
But there's a bit of a tragic irony here. Sometimes your brain protects you so much, it builds such a thick wall of caution and what-ifs that it actually prevents you from living. It keeps you forever standing at the crossroads, just observing the paths instead of actually walking down one.
So I really want you to take away this core message from our explainer today. A thoughtful, intelligent, analytical mind is an absolutely incredible tool. Thinking is incredibly powerful.
But action changes lives. Deliberate movement is what truly matters in the end. Because all the mental computing power in the world means absolutely nothing if it doesn't eventually translate into motion.
I'll leave you with this final thought to carry with you. The next time your mind starts creating hundreds of imaginary scenarios, just remember, you don't need perfect certainty. You only need the courage to take the next step. You already have the intelligence. Now, step out of the loop, break the cycle, and take that step.